Hi there, it's Mr. Clark. Welcome to Lesson 2.3.2 on Simple Enrhythmic Reading. We've talked about enharmonic notes, where two notes are written differently but sound the same, and rhythmic rhythms are exactly the same idea. They look different on the page, but when performed, they sound exactly the same. So, what we're going to be taking a look at, say you have this line of 2/4 rhythm. Pretty straightforward. 1, 1D, 2, 1D, 2D, 1. So 2/4, we have two quarter notes that fit in a bar. What if we want to change that to, say, 2/2, which would mean two half notes fit in a bar, and we want it to sound the same? So quarter note would have to turn into an eighth note, quarter rest turns into a half rest, eighth note turns into a quarter note, half note turns into a whole note, and it would look like this. So now we would say the same thing. 1, 1D, 2, 1D, 2D, 1. Pretty straightforward. What if we want to go the other way? Turn it into 2/8 and have all of the note values. Quarter note goes to eighth note, quarter rest goes to eighth rest. Ooh, that's a new one. So how I draw an eighth rest, just draw that little circle. Whoop, whoop. Maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, something like that. And then eighth note goes to 16th note, half note goes to quarter note. This sounds exactly the same. 1, 1D, 2, 1D, 2D, 1. So that's what's going on here. There are a variety of reasons that you might choose to use a different time signature. You can read that on your own, but historically, you tended to have bigger time signatures just because of how historical rhythmic notation worked, and I do hope to have a module up about that at some point. May or may not be when you're watching this video. And then there are some just cultural reasons, like a waltz is almost always in 3/4. A march is much more often in 2/4 than, say, a rock tune. Rock tunes are usually in 4/4, and some of that is just convention within these different genres and styles. Two things to take a note of: when you double a whole note, you get a double whole note, also known as a breve, and breve literally means short, and again, this comes from the older rhythmic notation where all of the notes were super big values. Note values tended to shrink over time. Anyway, so we have this breve or double whole note. It's the same as a whole note with these double bars on the side. If you want to have a 16th note, you get a 32nd note. And just how we went from 8th with one flag, 16th with two flags, 32nd has three flags. 8th notes have one beam, 16th notes have two beams, 32nd notes have three beams. And typically, just to increase legibility, we keep them beamed in groups of 4, and then we have that one beam joining them. You could connect all 8, depending on the context. That can also get a little harder to read. So that's just a contextual thing that we can chat about if it ever comes up. And we already talked about the 8th rest. So one more thing to talk about, just an FYI. Again, partly an ink saving thing, partly a historical thing, deriving from medieval mensuration symbols, which again I hope to have some information up about at some point. 4/4 is sometimes abbreviated by this C, and that has, in modern-ish eras, just been called common time, because 4/4 is a pretty common meter. And then this C with a line through it is the same as 2/2, often called cut time. And yeah, that is just a thing you will see sometimes. Just want to make you aware. That is what I have for now, and I will see you next time.